Twitter. Our official station handle is at KBC Channel 1. My handle is the Jane Momboy. Feel free to share with us your thoughts. And with us to help us with this discussion in studio, we have Catherine Carrera, who is a teen youth mentor. Good morning and welcome, Catherine.
Morning, Jane.
And we also have Mercy Mwangi, who is a mental health advocate. Good morning, Mercy.
Good morning.
Welcome. Thank you for being with us today. Now, let me just start with your individual. Start with you, Mercy. Holidays are a time where we see so many parents getting anxious. Like, woyi watoto wanafunga wiki saba sasa. Why do you think this is something that gets parents on edge?
All right. Well, I'm a parent as well, so this conversation is in order.
Yes.
Yeah, one, there is the aspect of children coming home. They disrupt the normal day-to-day activity. You have to go to work, you have to leave them. There is that anxiety, how will they be? There is also the implication of cost implications when they're at school. The budget is taken so much in school. You pay school fees there, maybe lunch is taken care of there, and other activities are minimal.
Yes.
And when they come back home, everything now is on you. You have to, most parents don't do lunches and stuff like that. Now you have to do like a balanced meal for like the whole day. That's a cost implication plus a lot of work. Then there is, what activity are they going to do? If you're not ready mentally, trust me, you'll get overwhelmed, because 6 weeks is not a short time.
Yes.
Yeah, those are some of the things that make parents get anxious, and many more others. All
right. I'd also like to hear from you, Catherine. You know, given your interaction with the parents out there, even the kids, why do you think parents get so anxious when kids close school for so long? And just the other day we were complaining it's too short and now it's too long.
We have just failed to prepare, Jane. We all knew that they are going to come.
Holiday stressful on the kids?
Wow. That's a tough question. It can be. As Catherine has talked about planning.
Yes.
When you fail to plan yourself, and when we talk about planning, let's talk about the mental health aspect. Yeah, in mental health, we say sometimes what you focus in is what you get. Right now, we are focusing on the negatives, what is happening around, and we are forgetting the children. The child is the one we're supposed to focus on, but we're focusing on everything else. It is long, there is no money, it is chaotic and stuff like that. So how can it be stressful? As a parent, if you're not emotionally well, or if you're not mentally well, you will not be able to parent.
Yes. Because
you'll transfer the stress or everything else to the child. When you're supposed to help them move to the next step, yourself, you're even stuck. So that is how you make it more stressful to them. They don't know what to do next. They don't know even what to do. It's like they just wake up and life goes on. They should have, we usually say, even for the children, help them have like very healthy habits. Even when that child wakes up and you're not there, they know what they are supposed to do. I'm supposed to do this when I wake up, and this and this and this, until the day ends. Not the normal boring routine we are talking about, but them, they have owned it. It is not your routine, it is their routine. If you're planning, plan with them. You remove stress from them. Let's take an example. You left your children at home and you went, and they wake up, they don't know what to do. They don't have breakfast. What will they will start doing? They start getting hungry. A hungry person is an angry person. So what will happen? They will start finding, kids are very smart. They start finding way of fulfilling what they need right now. Yeah, what is their need right now is food. That child will do anything possible for them to just feel. You are stressing that child now, and you're exposing them to other things simply because you are not well and you had not planned for them. That is one of the ways we make it stressful. The other one is when you make rules and regulation are very good, but if you don't include them in them, it becomes like a punishment. You don't allow them to plan with you, so they even it's good to have a dialogue. Let them know this is the reason you're doing this. When you wake up, you have these duties to do. Maybe if you have to make your bed, you have to wash these dishes, because you have to help them understand chores are supposed to be done. So if you don't do that, again, it's like it's a punishment. Like even how you communicate. When I come back, I don't want to find these dishes here. let them understand you are home. You have a lot of this time. Do this at this time. Do this at this time. They will see you are involving them instead of like punishing them.
And what's the benefit of doing that as parents? You know, actively involving them in the planning, the scheduling, versus forced involvement or just projecting on them? What are some of the benefits that we are going to see there and there, instant results?
Yeah, some of the benefits is they start getting they start using their critical thinking. They start getting creative, because some of these things they have to figure out how they have to do.
Yes.
And then they start finding you as the higher person or the best person to go to, because some of the things they'll come and ask you, how do we do this? But if you like command them or push them, they will always rebel and do the opposite. But now when you engage them, it becomes a dialogue, it becomes a conversation. So you're helping their brain understand this is how life should be, and this is how life is going to be in future. And the benefits, the immediate benefits is they'll start having self-regulations. They will know, oh, even the normal emotional stuff we go through, if they're angry, they will know, yes, I am angry and I should calm down. But if all the time it's like pushed and pushed and pushed, they will always be angry and they don't know any other way. So you help them think, you help them be creative, you help them even grow their brain in future. Now in future, they'll be able to do these things even when you're not around.
Long-term and short-term goals.
Yes.
All right, Kratin, also your thoughts when it comes to involving the children, and especially, okay, this is based on their ages as well, involving them versus forced involvement, forcing issues on them.
My colleague has said about rules. I want to tell us parents, rebellion.
And especially with the teenagers.
Yeah, so if you don't have a relationship with your children and you give them rules, they will become rebellious. And parents, we need to understand this. When we are growing up our children, we are literally transferring our powers to them. If you can be able to calm down and do a bit of the dishes, then you tell her, finish up together with me. You'll have assisted the child. Because children have a mentality of housework should be done by somebody else.
Yes.
So if mommy you're doing, and you know children are very good at imitating what you are doing. So do a part of it, do together with them. My colleague has also said about they can be bored. And I had mentioned that earlier. And Jane, I would want us to look at the word bored as an acronym, where B is telling us to be very creative. Parents and children, you must be very, very creative. These 50, whatever days you're at home. Then we have O. You must organize your children, or your children will disorganize themselves or be disorganized by somebody else. Then we have R. We must be ready for that future. And children are our future. We are the hope for that future. Then E, they must exercise everything, including their minds. And that is why when they have come home, they have enough homework to carry them all through. Then D, which children you must hear very well. You only have to do what is necessary. Let me tell us parents why we need to organize and work together with our children as we are transferring power. Parenting is like building a cathedral. We cannot afford to cut corners. So you must make sure that you're not going to parent the way we were parented our times. But also I want to tell us this. Even as we don't parent the way we were parented, Jane, discipline and good manners have never gone out of style and fashion.
Yes.
So even as we change the skills of parenting now, we must make sure that we don't leave our children out to be indisciplined. Because when we don't discipline our children, we are bringing up to go to jail. So parents, what we need to do, if you don't know the best skills to parent together with your children, bring them in, ask them, can we make rules together? And of course they will tell you, because you know in school, where they have been for those 2 months, they have a bell. At home we don't have a bell. They have uniform. At home we have freedom. They have the walls and the gates, so that these children do not feel like they have come into another cage. While we are there, I want to tell our children that education is their life. And education is like they are rehearsing for the life they would want to lead, so that they can understand they have come home. And children, I want to sell something to you, because I know you follow me very well. Can you make this holiday a very excellent holiday for yourself? You're not doing it for your parents. And excellence, Jane, is not a skill, it's an attitude. Let me also tell you, our children, why can't you make this long holiday a holy day? Every day you wake up, you say, I want to be a holy girl. I want to be a holy girl. Because when you go out and you do things against your parent, the word of God which I have here tells us when we disobey. So we must make sure that children, you know how to manage your time. And as we talked about children, you know, we have the teenagers that can now listen to me. We have the preteens that are listening to me. But we have the toddlers who have been now going to baby school, but they are home now. And these ones do not understand. Jane, I'll always tell our parents that we must have eyes that are hearing. And now even we must be able to feel our children, because Jane, we know defilement is on the increase. I said we have to prevent and protect them, so that we can prevent these children from the dangers coming. And I know before we came in, KCP is being done today. And I want to tell parents to tell our children, after they have cleared their primary school, that happiness is in finishing an exam, but life is still happening. And you know, Jane, after they have done KCP, what next? Rite of passage. And unfortunately, we are going backwards, where we are thinking that the girl needs a cut. Let me say this, and I thank God that I'm talking here now on national TV, because the president told us that we should have zero tolerance on FGM. Let me say this, please. FGM is happening. FGM is very demonic. Jane, I call FGM peer pressure from the dead. FGM does not help any woman. FGM does not help any girl. FGM gives the circumciser evil money. And then the girls that have been circumcised will have long-term health complications and even short-term complications. So please, make sure that as the children have come home to us, it is this long holiday, we don't damage them. Who are children? Children are a gift from God. A gift for us to make, not to break. Let us not break our children because it can be convenient for them to be at home. We take them for a cut. No, they don't need a cut. They normally tell me that the reason they are cutting the girls is to stone them down. No, we are fear-free, wonder-free made, wired good.
All right. Now, remember, this conversation is two-way. We'd love to hear from you as a parent, as a guardian or a custodian of any child that has closed schools for the holiday. What are you going about to manage the anxiety that usually comes with long school holidays? Use the hashtag Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. Our official station handle is at KBC Channel 1. My handle is at Jane Wambui. Now, let me come to you, Mercy. As you have rightfully brought in that aspect of, you know, the cultural, some of those backward, let me just use that word, those backward traditional practices that we keep seeing over and over again. Another one that is sort of subtle, but is something that still cuts across, is taking our kids to our relatives, bouncing them from house to house to house, the entire holiday. What are your thoughts when it comes to this? And is it something you advise parents to still do in this day and time? 1 week kwa uncle, the next week kwa guka, the next week, like that. What are your thoughts on that?
Wow. Okay, on this case, I would want us to look at it as case-to-case basis and understand why is this happening. Yeah, and then as like a parent, why should I take my children to this place and this place and this place? And for me, if it's an advice, is go with them. If they really need to go with them.
Not leaving them.
Not leaving them. Okay. But again, I've said, what are the reasons? Find out what are the reasons. If there are things you can avoid. So many things happen to children when they go out there. And this child, again, develops something that is, they don't have permanence. They don't have permanence, especially the small children. Let's talk about the very small children who are learning through seeing only. They don't even hear what you say. They will just listen, and they don't fathom. They do not understand what you say. But whatever you do, they will understand because they can see. So what happens? Most of the time, maybe you take them to a relative. That relative maybe your child is 5 years old and the relative has teenagers. What the teenagers are doing is not appropriate for this age of 5. So the children is learning things that they should not be learning at that age. And it is not the fault of the child or the teenager. The teenager are doing their things, the child is doing their thing. And what happens? There is no one to guide them because you have left them and you have gone. So this is not a very good thing, if you ask me. For me, my advice will be, what are when you take your children from this place to that place, what are the values in that other home? Do they align with your values? What happens in that other home? Do they align? I know we have dealt with so many children who have learned very many things from the places they go, especially the sexual learning. Yeah, so many have picked those behaviors from other places. Most of them is just seeing. Some have been initiated there. Some have practiced. Some have tried to it's called, let me try. You know, it's called try. And let me tell the children here who are listening, the word try is very good, but there is in life there is nothing like try. It's doing. If I say today, let me try and smoke, am I really trying to smoke? I am smoking, and that might be the beginning of another addiction that could not have ever happened if you did not try, or if that child was never taken to another person's home. It does not mean that they can't learn these things from where they come from or from their homes, but the chances of them being exposed is higher than when they're home. Remember, when they go, they know you're not there. So they call it freedom.
All right.
Yeah, and they have they know that right now I can do this, mom is not here, dad is not here, and it's freedom for them.
All right. Catherine, do you share the same thoughts when it comes to bouncing our kids from one home to the other, and in most cases our relatives over the holidays?
I would want to say that is outdated. The level of exposure is very high, and unfortunately the bad things are the ones that sells. However, in life we have three types of support systems. We have people, we have money, and we have time. People, money, and time. If the people where you're taking your children have good values like you, that can also be very helpful, because you're going to know that there is more life outside our compound. However, these people also can be damagers to your children, and we know today even the domestic managers are damaging our children in the comfort of our home. Then we have money. This holiday is long, and this holiday also comes with very many camps for children. And also, I'm sure we'll be able to see vocational Bible studies this long holiday. Can you sacrifice that shilling and take your children to those camps? Then we have this time, which I said, can we make sure that we plan ourselves now? Our children. Let me tell us this: if we do not sacrifice for what we need will become a sacrifice. Therefore, we must make sure that we sacrifice for our children. As my colleague has said, if I have to take my children to my parents' place, can I go there with them? Because, Jane, it is most unfortunate and very sad. Defilement is happening. We have heard of a grandfather who was defiling a girl together with the son. That means the grandfather and an uncle defiling this girl. So we must make sure, even as we bring our children together, as Africans, we are community-based. We'll still go and mingle. What we need to do is empower these children. Jane, I normally tell them, as we talk to our children about the head and the shoulders, let us not run to the knees. Let our children understand, I am a girl. The word of God tells me we have a young sister and her breasts are still small. What shall we do for them? So before you take them to meet the family, you have to give them three things. You have to give them information. You have to tell them your private part. I normally call them private manenos. Should not be manenos for anybody else. You have to give them information. You have to give them fact. The other time we were here, we had just commemorated HIV and AIDS, which is on the increase. So they have to know a little exposure brings HIV and AIDS. And as a Christian, we know it also brings demons. Then we have to give them warning. And Jane, I don't know how to talk without the word of God. The word of God tells me in the Proverbs 5:23, atakufa huyo kwa kukosa maonyo, naye ataangamia kwa wingi wa ujinga wake. So we take time to remove ujinga from the children. And you know, they think that we don't know anything. So we must make sure that we ground them very well, because they are our future.
All right. Now, that to another aspect and another reality that we're seeing so many families deal with in this day and time, and this is blended families. We have single parent homes, could be the mother or the father, and many variations of blended families. And for some, there are those that have gone the legal way. They have a parental responsibility agreement that clearly states out how the holidays are going to be spent. But for those families that do not have access to such guidelines on how to divide time with the kids over the holidays, and especially a holiday like this, what would be your advice for them, Mercy, considering the kid is at the center of this conversation and both parents would want to spend time with the child?
All right. Okay. On this case, we would say, let us take care of our parents. Let's take care of ourselves. Let me know, what do I want? How do I want it? We call it emotional intelligence.
Yes.
Once you take care of that, you will be able to manage whatever happens. Know, where am I? Who am I? At this moment, I am separated. And these are the reasons why we were separated. But we still have children here. We need to co-parent.
Yes.
What are the guidelines that are we going to put so that we're able to... The focus now here should leave you and go to the child. What is the best for this child? But you will not be able to do that until you are able, first of all, to understand yourself. Get to a place where I am fine, I am well mentally, I am able to handle this. No matter what happens on the other side, I am in control. There are things that are beyond our control, but you can be able to maneuver according to how they come up. Now, and the other parent, it's good to sit down and decide, this is how we are going to do this. And you look at the implications, the repercussions. If we do this, what will happen? Yeah. Don't focus so much on maybe what happened for you to separate, but now focus on the child.
Yes.
This is a holiday. This child needs to be with both parents. Maybe whatever happened was between me and you, but how do we bring in the child? The child will understand that I am not the reason for your separation or for anything that is happening. Most of the time, we do things wrong and this child start blaming themselves. It's like, I am the one who made you separate. I am the one who is not making you being able to be together. So it's good to make sure you help this child understand that they're not the ones who are causing this. So how do we go with this connection? How do we connect with this child as we are separate? There is the time together. How do we go about our time together? How do we show love without bringing our personal issues? Let this child have freedom to relate to the mother, freedom to relate to the father, and even freedom to relate to other siblings. Some of the time, siblings are separated. So once you put all these things together, you're able to help this child and even grow in a healthy environment. In future, they'll be able to be healthy adults.
Now, if it is a child who is at an age where they're able to comprehend the situation, would you advise involving them in just getting their opinions where they want to spend the first half of the holiday, the other half, their thoughts in regards to where they're going to be spending the holidays? Would you advise to involve them?
Yes, as a parent, it's good to listen to the child and guide. You are the guide.
Yes.
But it's good to listen to each and everything they say. And when you're listening, it's very important. Catherine talks about eyes that hear. Yeah? Listen with your ears. Listen with your eyes. Listen with your feelings. Listen to what is not being said. Even listen to the body language, because sometimes they might say this and they are doing the opposite. Have that a time to understand your child, and that way you'll be able to guide them, and it's going to be a win-win situation for everybody.
All right. Yes. Catherine, we have seen so many blended families. Some are very chaotic, some are very peaceful. We live in a reality where one parent will even go and steal the child from the other parent's home when the other parent is not home. Your advice for people who are in blended family situations that are seemingly not settled, and especially when it comes to who gets to spend the holiday with the child?
Before I talk about the blended, can I ask myself, as you're dating that person, please do not ignore any red flags. We live in a lie that I'll change them when I marry them. Let me tell you, nobody can change anybody, only God can change. Now that you're already in this blended family, and you know they are very unique families because some of us are already married. I came with my children from that other marriage, and here we are, and dad would want to come and pick my children. We must do a working MOU. And then also we must need to understand that this child is very innocent. For this child, this is daddy. It doesn't matter what mommy and yourself did, but we must also make sure that the safety of this child comes number one.
Yes.
Because we know of children that have gotten messed in the tags between the parents. So at whatever decisions that you're making, can we make them from the point of the child? What is the best out for this child. And then also, you know, Jane, we can lose this child in between my home and Mr. Karira's home, because I don't know what the moral standard of this my ex-boyfriend or whatever, because as the child goes there for 50 days, what are they being exposed to? So can we also make sure as parents that even as we in somebody that can babysit for us, we know that they have the interest of the children at home. We must make sure that we take care of the emotional wellness of these children, because if we damage them fighting in between the two of us, we are going to lose this child. I would want to say something. Can the daddies agree and the mothers agree who is the best to take care of these children? Don't be selfish. Do not just want to tag along with your child and show that we are making it. If you know that daddy can make better, can we have the child more with daddy? If it is mommy, can we have there? And remember the support system. If you have other siblings, can you bring them on? But as you bring them on, please make sure that you don't compromise the security of your child. They normally say security is as easy as A, B, C. Always be careful. So in parenting, we have to be very careful. Even in blended parent families, we have to be very careful, because children are the only living resource that we have.
All right. Now that brings me to the whole disciplining aspect, because I am sure hii holiday haitaisha kama mtoto hajashamurwa. You know, and let me start with you, Mercy. You know, for some parents, we always let our kids get away with everything. Smako holiday, wacha atulie, wacha amke sanya anataka, wacha amwage maji, wacha acheze na maji. When it comes to disciplining kids during this holiday, what are some of the do's and don'ts that you would advise parents to do, and of course based on the ages of these kids while they're at home?
All right. Discipline is very important, because without discipline, nothing happens. Everything is chaotic. Now, let's start with the small kids. The small children, unfortunately, even us, the way we learned things, I'm sure so many things you didn't learn because you are told, this is a book, this is a pen. No, we were taught in a very different way. Most likely you were parents' book and they said, wachana na hiyo kitabu. So we don't learn in kindness. All the time we start learning by it's fear. Like it's fear. So wachana na hiyo kitabu, that is how you learned that is a book and that is a pen. So with a very small one, even when you're disciplining, if the child is touching your book, just go to them and tell them, this is mommy's book and you should not write on it. You should ask. Let us change how we discipline our children. If you discipline them in kindness, they will grow in kindness, even when they're asking. But if we keep on doing the thing we've been doing from before, that is when they grow older, unless you shout at them, they will not stop doing something, because that is how it started from when they were very young. The other thing is, with the small ones, teach them how to use the kind words as well. If they are talking to you, you're doing something, let them not come in between. Those are the very the very, I don't know what to call it, the basic of discipline. It starts with please, excuse me, I'm sorry. Then we go to the other discipline, to the other level, where there are rules and regulation. In your house, they should know, if this is done like this, I will not be happy, and there has to be consequences. How you do that, again, you should be very careful. I'm a mental health advocate, and I know most of the time we discipline our children from how we feel. I've come home, I am tired, I am so exhausted, and I've found my child has done something wrong. What will happen is, I will not discipline them the way it should be done. I will be unleashing all my anger and frustration on that child. They will not understand what you are trying to say. Will only interpret it the wrong way.
The security of your child. They normally say security is as easy as A, B, C. Always be careful. So in parenting, we have to be very careful. Even in blended parent families, we have to be very careful, because children are the only living resource that we have.
All right. Now that brings me to the whole disciplining aspect, because I am sure hii holiday haitaisha kama mtoto hajashamurwa. You know, and let me start with you, Mercy. You know, for some parents, we always let our kids get away with everything. Smako holiday, wacha atulie, wacha amke sanya anataka, wacha amwage maji, wacha acheze na maji. When it comes to disciplining kids during this holiday, what are some of the do's and don'ts that you would advise parents to do, and of course based on the ages of these kids while they're at home?
All right. Discipline is very important because without discipline, nothing happens. Everything is chaotic. Now, let's start with the small kids. The small children, unfortunately, even us, the way we learned things, I'm sure so many things you didn't learn because you are told, this is a book, this is a pen. No, we were taught in a very different way. Most likely you were parents' book and they said, wachana na hiyo kitabu. So we don't learn in kindness. All the time we start learning by it's fear. Like it's fear. Yeah. So wachana na hiyo kitabu, that is how you learn that is a book and that is a pen. So with a very small one, even when you're disciplining, if the child is touching your book, just go to them and tell them, this is mommy's book and you should not write on it. You should ask. Let us change how we discipline our children. If you discipline them in kindness, they will grow in kindness, even when they're asking. But if we keep on doing the thing we've been doing from before, that is when they grow older, unless you shout at them, they will not stop doing something. Because that is how it started from when they were very young. Yes. The other thing is, with the small ones, teach them how to use the kind words as well. If they are talking to you, you're doing something, let them not come in between. Those are the very... the very, I don't know what to call it, the basic of discipline. Yes. It starts with please, excuse me, I'm sorry. Yeah. Then we go to the other discipline, to the other level, where there are rules and regulation. In your house, they should know if this is done like this, I will not be happy, and there has to be consequences. How you do that again you should be very careful. I'm a mental health advocate, and I know most of the time we discipline our children from how we feel. I've come home, I am tired, I am so exhausted, and I've found my child has done something wrong. What will happen is I will not discipline them the way it should be done. I will be unleashing all my anger and frustration on that child. They will not understand what you are trying to say. They will only interpret it the wrong way. You hate me, you've just come in, you don't know how I've been, you've just hit me. So know how to do it. Do I need to calm down first before I deal with this? That is how discipline should be administered. The other thing, you have to be very firm. Very firm and consistent. Today you don't say this and do the other thing. If it is like this, let it be like that. If it is not done that way, it's good to hear from the other side, why is it not happening? Yes. And then if it's something that needs to be adjusted, let it be adjusted. If it is something that is not being followed, then there is a bit of discipline that will happen. We all have different ways. Yes, we have different ways of disciplining. Yes. It's not all the time we use the cane. I don't advocate for the cane, but sometimes it goes to that extreme. Yes. But find a way, how do you discipline your children and stick to it. Otherwise, if you do this and this, they will find like if you say nitakuchapa na hauchapi. Are you getting my point? I'm not saying chapa your child. I'm just giving an example. Okay. So you have to be very firm. Now, let me come to you, Catherine, still on that discipline aspect, but now bringing also money as a fact, and especially on your side as a parent, because kids now want to go all out. They want to go to all these fun activities. They want to go out. They want to go shopping. Wanataka shopping at the next grade already. As a parent, how do you also discipline yourself and have those conversations with your kids when money is a sensitive issue and it comes and goes? How do you handle this? Let me pick it up from what my colleague has said. She has said she doesn't love the cane. I love the rod. Because I love the rod. The word of God tells me that children naturally do say the careless things, but a good spanking and is sparked by the rod. Rod stands for right of discipline. Parents, we have a right to discipline our children, and our children have a right to be disciplined. Parents, let us love our children very much so that we can be able to correct them. Love and correction goes together, and discipline and discipling go together. I know they have come home, and they want to buy everything that is possible for them. We need to sit down with them, and we need them to understand that we are battling a pandemic. We still have lost our jobs because of COVID, so we can only manage to do with what we have. Children, when our parents tell us no, it is also they are telling us they love us. So if our parents cannot afford all what you need, please make sure you don't go out looking for it from out there. I normally tell them, Jane, they are not stuck at home, they are safe at home. So even if the money is not coming, can we go as what Jane has told us? Can we have the basic? If we have a shelter, if we have clothing,
and we have a meal on the table, that is a basic. Then we sit and we trust. Children, let me tell you this, being rebellious will not help you. It only hardens you and you're going to break. Parents, children here, children are not a book like this. So you just need to tell them and tell them in advance. Tell them, yes, you have a book list to do and you have all the clothes that you want to buy. Can we buy the book list? Then you go and better your grades to become better. Children, we must help our children because we know economically we know very well. And children, how can we help our children? Sorry, children, how can we help our parents? I normally call it 4 B's. Behave, become, better, to be the best. So even when mommy says a no, know that no is coming with kindness and with love. And you know, love without rebuke is an abuse. So parents, even as we love them, we must rebuke them. However, rebuke without love is an abuse. We must to rebuke them from a point of love. And nobody will ever die for not being smacked. However, parents, do not kill your children with the rod. The rod, I have said, it is a right of discipline. Let us love these children. They are very innocent anyway.
All right. I think that's a good point to end this conversation, but not before we read some feedback in regards to this conversation. Remember, we are still